Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the One More Jump podcast by Rise Pole Vault. Today we have Hana and Amanda Moll, the UW superstar pole vaulters that have been lighting the world on fire for the last few years. They have both jumped 465, and they did that at Reno, and I think that's like 15 feet 3 inches, which is insane. But they're great pole vaulters, even better people, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy getting to know the Mull sisters on this podcast. Hope you guys enjoy it. First of all, we're recording and we're going already. So I really appreciate you guys doing this. You guys have had just a crazy ascent over like the last 3 or 4 years. It's been like super fun to watch it and to be, an observer of it and watching like the development and stuff. I actually saw you guys on Tim's Instagram like a long, long time ago. And then I like kind of, I don't know, I'm like in and out of being on Instagram kind of like
I do
sometimes
this.
like I'm like in and out.
Yeah,
Um and then like years later I'm like there's no way those are the same girls. And Tim was like, "Yeah, that's them." And I'm like, "Holy crap, that's crazy." So I guess we could get started with, well, first of all, and I know you guys get this all the time, but can you guys please introduce yourselves so I know who's who?
yeah. I'm Hannah. I am the eldest by an
Okay.
hour and a half. Um,
What's your
yeah.
personal best?
Oh,
Actually, just say your personal best and like what your favorite color is.
okay. We're gonna have the exact same answer then. My personal best is 4 meters 65, and my favorite color is green.
Beautiful. I like green too.
Um, I'm Amanda. My personal best is also 465, and my favorite color is also green. So
That
um,
is pretty dialed in right there. Yeah. So it
it
works
was,
out well that you guys have the exact like personal best.
yeah, and that was the
That
only
works out
reason.
really well. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how is the dynamic with like I grew up with two brothers who were pole vaulters, and but like there was pretty significant age gaps between us. So like how has that been, the dynamic between you two, kind of just like I would never use the word battling back and forth, but like just kind of like competing, and like one day Amanda does well and then the other day Hannah does well. How has that been? And either one of you can answer, or both.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of always been kind of just the nature of our relationship. I mean, we've basically done the same sports our entire lives. So it was no matter what sport we were doing, there was always like we were kind of like taking turns, kind of having our little successes. And obviously there were times where we both had like successes, but usually it'd be like, oh, I was better at rock climbing for this year, or she was better at mountain biking or pole vault for 1 year, obviously. Yeah. And then it transitioned into pole vault, and then we just kind of take turns doing well, I guess. But yeah, I would say like we've always grown up being pretty competitive with each other, but like not in like an unhealthy way where it affected our relationship. Um, and I think we've done a lot of work to not let it affect our relationship. But yeah, I think we just it's nice because we always push each other, and even if I'm not having a great day, I can always cheer on her successes. So I think it's really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I mean, it just takes a certain level of maturity to, and, just like, I don't know, your parents must have raised you right, because it would
Yes.
be, it would be, it would be difficult at times. Like, it's just like, oh man, like I kind of I want to be doing what she's doing right now and vice versa and all of those things. That would be hard. But, what about like, how did this all begin? Like, where did kind of your athletic endeavors begin, even if it wasn't in pole vaulting? And then how
Mhm.
did it kind of morph into this thing with you guys being like superstars? This podcast is sponsored by UST Essex, world class vaulting poles. Pole vaulters all over the world know how important it is to have the right pole at the right time. From the fiberglass launch to the carbon-based recoil advance, Essex has created the most seamless line of poles on the market. Built with input from beginners and Olympians alike, Essex Pole's lightweight design and narrow diameter give athletes the confidence they need to grab the next pole and go. Essex believes pole vaulting is more than an event. It is a pathway to opportunity. Their mission goes beyond performance. They are proud to support the pole vault community, helping athletes of all ages unlock their potential, pursue higher education, and create brighter futures. Visit www.ust-essex.com to find a dealer near you and set the standard today.
I mean, our first sport was gymnastics, and my mom got us into it because we would just, I mean, we would climb everything. We would climb trees, just anything. Yeah, our cribs, anything we could get our
Ooh,
hands
that's
on.
dangerous.
So, yeah, she got us into gymnastics, and we did that for 8 years. And I would say we were, pretty successful at it. Obviously, we weren't competing at like level 10 at
Yeah.
10 years old.
I did a year more than her, but we were about the same level, I think.
What age did you guys start that?
We started
Six?
I want to say 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
Okay,
5.
gotcha.
And then I stopped gymnastics in like 7th grade. And I stopped gymnastics in 6th grade. So I stopped a year earlier and I did rock climbing competitively as well as mountain biking, and volleyball. So after gymnastics, we were kind of starting to explore different sports. And I forgot to mention, but we also, alongside gymnastics, I think maybe at starting age 9, we were doing a little bit of just track, because my mom introduced us to it. So we would do like all comers meets, just do high jump as our practices, like in the meets, because we didn't have time. So once we stopped gymnastics, we started doing, I think, multi events in track, so heptathlon and pentathlon when we were too young to do heptathlon. And then since we stopped gymnastics, we had more time to explore other events. And my mom introduced us to pole vault, because she was really wanting to do pole vault when she was in high school. And gymnastics and pole vault are very, very correlated sport. I think a lot of ex-gymnasts are now pole vaulters. Majority.
Yeah.
So, we were introduced to pole vault from Tim's camp in 7th grade, and we just kept going from there. I think we kept doing other sports. We kept doing rock climbing, mountain biking, and volleyball up until freshman year.
COVID.
Yeah. So that's
Ooh.
kind of when we just made that switch to specialize in like specifically track and pole vault.
Yeah, that was like whenever I started to really notice it was like in like the COVID time, like there was like videos of, or rumors of these two girls that are making some crazy ascent to the top, and there's more than one of them, and they both look the same. It was crazy. You guys really kind of took the world by storm, and like it just hasn't really like stopped. Like it's just kind of just been like like it's been wild. And I thought for sure that one of you guys was gonna make that next bar at Reno. Oh my gosh, you guys were both so close. Which one of you guys went up to the bigger pole? Okay.
Well, we might have both.
Okay. There was,
Because I did off after my first attempt.
I think one of you guys made that bar, what was it for?
65?
65 on like it was like, oh man, she went up to a bigger pole and made it.
I think that was me.
Yeah.
That's probably me. I do that all the time.
I thought for sure that next bar was going down for both of you guys. Oh man, so close.
There's one video, it literally looked like it was just your hand. Yeah, I didn't get like a side view. I had a more of a front, like maybe a 45-degree view towards the pit. And I swear it looked like it was just my hand that like touched it. But I was definitely too shallow.
Right.
Way over it.
It's hard to look back on that. But hey, you guys got that's Reno. I mean, come on. You guys got a full season out ahead of you. So, Hannah, you said you stopped doing gymnastics first.
Yeah, I did. Mhm.
Okay. Um, I so why did you guys stop gymnastics?
Well, I stopped gymnastics because I think I just kind of fell out of passion with the sport. I suffered a pretty bad mental block on beam.
Hmm.
I had a really hard time connecting like any kind of back series, so like back forward or back handspring. I would just like freak out and like right after like the connection or right before the connection. So I just like never had a good experience with beam. So then I think that kind of just zapped all my love for the sport, which obviously I still really enjoy just doing gymnasticy things, but I'm really glad I stopped because I think I really needed to explore other sports. I mean, I'd
Hmm.
been doing it for 7, 8 years, and I honestly think that the stress from that gave me like a sleeping disorder when I was little. Um,
Yeah, there's a
so I was
lot
like,
of weird stuff with gymnastics, like
yeah.
with
So
little girls. It's really rough, you know. My daughter, all she wants to do is gymnastics, and I'm just like, oh my God.
it's a great developmental though. I mean, it's a great. I don't regret doing it at all.
They
And I
want
think
her there
it's
like 25 hours a week though.
yeah, I think you just have to find the right gym. I don't know. We didn't go to one of those gyms where you had to go to 20, 30 hours a week. We
That's
at most
good.
did maybe 15 hours. So I think we got really lucky because we also I know we both didn't ever get any serious injuries.
Right.
Um, and I think I had a pretty positive experience. I think I was just ready to try new sports when I in seventh grade.
Yeah,
So
I mean, if you've been doing something like since you're 5, 6 years old, and then all the way till seventh grade, I mean, that's more time than you've spent pole vaulting, probably, right?
yeah.
Like total time. I would think
Mhm.
so. Yeah, if I'm doing my math correctly. So that's a long
We're getting
time, you
close.
know? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So so when you guys were younger, you said you started to do like rock climbing and mountain biking, and then you got into pole vaulting. And did it like just like grab you right away, or was it just kind of like that was cool, and then you just started getting better, and then started coming back more? Or was it immediate? Like, yeah, I want to do this. This is my thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for me, it definitely grabbed me because I was doing three other sports at the time and I still chose pole vault. And obviously, I still have passion for a lot of those sports still. And I sometimes do it, in my off season or just, aside for training. And yeah, I think I just, I've always had a draw to the individual sports, I guess. And pole vault, it was just like, I could still kind of feel my love for gymnastics in that sport and kind of have this self progression of like I can like physically see my progress in every bar. And that was
Mhm.
really rewarding for me. And it was also like a challenge. I really like challenges and pole vault was something that I did not know how to do or figure out. It's not a very intuitive sport, so that I think that was a big thing that drew me in.
What about you, Amanda?
Um, I think similar with Hannah. I think for me, it was just seeing all the high school girls because at the time, Chloe Cunliffe was there, so I could see her jump. And then I think the age closest to me was Allie Niders. And the Yankees. Yeah, so I would see them jumping, and I was like, "Gosh, I wanna jump as high as them." And I think
Yeah,
that was really what kind of helped us get like set our bar pretty high, like seeing
right.
all these girls jump really high.
What I'll just ask you this, Amanda. Uh what do you think enables you to be able to do what you do? Like, is it like if you were to pick just a couple things, like
Okay.
is it your athleticism? Is it your speed? Is it your strength? Is it your just your mental savage or what? Like what is it about you that makes it possible to jump 465?
Yeah. Well, I think the people around me, but I'll answer for like just me. I think my mind is pretty, like, I pick up on technique really well, and I'm able to kind of understand that. And when I harness like mental strength well, I think I'm a very good competitor too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the people around you, that was a great answer too in the beginning.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
that's
I would not be where I am without Tim, Hannah, my parents, big emphasis on that one.
right.
Um,
Mike
because
Strong.
yeah, Mike Strong, he was my high school speed and strength coach. I think all the people around me have really just lifted me up, and like my parents drove we so we're from Olympia and we had to drive like an hour plus with traffic to Seattle 2 days a week, and my parents would drive me, especially my mom. She would drive us every time, and so I just would not be where I am without them. To add on to that, I think not only those individual people, but I think they did a really great job at coming together and like creating kind of a very like tight knit support group, because they would all communicate with each other in very positive ways. Just and I think that like communication aspect and just them being able to communicate with each other, especially Tim and Mike communicating, I think there was obviously a distance gap, but I think they're really great friends now, and they would just continue to communicate what they were doing with us. And so there's no like
That's a
gap in.
very good point. Like, and the other thing too is like just like being able to put your pride aside and like not try to like it's as a coach. And if you guys ever decide to coach, like you'll see like there's coaches that just really try they're obsessed with like taking credit, like this is my athlete and I did all of this and blah blah blah. And I've talked with Tim about it actually on the podcast about what was the other coach's name, the speed and strength coach? I'm sorry.
Mike Strong.
Mike Strong. We talked a lot about that and about how like, you know, to be a really, really good coach and to give your athletes the best opportunity to be the best that they can be, like you do have to release some control. You have to release some control to another person. You also have to release some control to, to their parents, like, because at the end of the day, like you're your parents' kids, like, and at that age, they're going to do what they want to do, and for them to work all three, like work together like that it probably really is a testament to like you guys being able to get where you're at, because I think that these days is like kind of rare. Everybody
Yeah.
wants credit and it's my way or the highway, those sorts of things, like letting their guard down and being willing to work with each other is like that's freaking awesome. And that's what creates really good pole vaulters. So, what about you, Hannah? Do you think outside of those things, you can use the same ones as your sister, but like, what do you think about you makes you unique enough that you can jump 465 this young?
Yeah, I mean, I think we each have kind of our individual strengths. I like to think that I think less than her. Yeah, especially when it comes to pole vault.
Elaborate on that a little bit. That would be good
Yeah.
content.
So, I mean, it sounds stupid, but it's more like I kind of am good at not getting in my head about things, especially like during competition. And I feel like when I'm competing, I'm really good at entering kind of a flow state and just being a very gritty competitor. I feel like something that I've kind of worked on gaining confidence on, a lot of people like pole vaulters don't and maybe are afraid of, is third attempts. A lot of my successes when it comes to high level competitions have been third bar clearances, which for a lot of people it's scary, and they overthink, they overrun, get too excited, and miss it. I feel like that's the most stressful bar, and I feel
More
like
than your first bar? That's just interesting to me.
honestly,
You think
so.
the third attempt is more stressful than your first bar of the competition?
Well,
Opening bar.
opening bar. What about opening bar third attempt?
That's it. That's the one. That's the one for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
you
opening
got
bar,
me on that
obviously,
one.
that's something you have to overcome. But I feel like you have to do that every competition, no matter what. So it's like it's something that I've just accepted and not I'm afraid of. For me, it's third attempt for sure.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we talk about this all the time at our place is, just you have to be so dialed in on technique and just like a robot, that you don't even really care what attempt it is. And it's like you're going to execute that thing that we tell you to do. It doesn't matter if it's first, second, third, at a PR, at an opening bar, whatever. It's just like if you're in that flow state, like kind of like you're talking about, the ideal athlete is someone who you can just, as a coach, you can just kind of plug in what you want. Like it's just like, I want this pole with this grip and move the run back a little bit. And yeah. And then if they just execute like a robot, then everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And if you can get closer to that, it just is like a coach's dream. And it sounds like you two are getting pretty close to that. I mean, you have to. You're
I mean, I'm
pretty
working on,
automatic.
trying my best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Let's like reverse that. And Amanda, what do you think what is the thing that like is holding you back right now?
Ooh. Right now, I would say I can get in my head a little bit sometimes. And Hannah was saying that she's better at not getting in my head. But I think that can be a strength or a weakness. And I'm
Mm,
trying to turn that into a strength. But also I think because I had a pretty bad mental block for like most of senior year, and then I was kind of working back last year.
mhm.
Um, and so I think that would definitely be like coming out of that was pretty hard, but I think I'm definitely a lot mentally tougher now. So I don't know if I would say that's a weakness, but that's definitely like a weak point.
When you say mental block, what do you mean mental block? Is there a specific thing that was blocked?
Well, I wasn't able to like really plant the pole very well. It's like my senior year, I just it was really hard for me.
Hmm.
Um and I that was because in at Texas Relays I like slipped off my pole and I think that just really
Yeah.
messed with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll do it. Yeah, for sure. You
Yeah.
slip out. It makes you like think. I think oftentimes that with people who have really quick ascents, that it happens so fast that
Mhm.
they almost like don't realize kind of what they're doing. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
oh man, I'm just here. And then there's sometimes what will happen is there'll be one time that like snaps them
Mhm.
into reality, and it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that could happen, like
That's
or
pretty
like
much that's
whatever.
pretty much what happened. I mean, I think there was definitely because it was like after I had cleared 15, I was like the first high school girl, and then I think there was just like a lot of like just a lot surrounding me and maybe a lot of like pressure and expectation. I think that probably made things worse.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think I've learned to navigate that from
The
the past few years.
the good thing is that that will eventually happen to everyone. Like
Yeah.
that situation, it eventually will get everyone, and that's
Mhm.
really like everyone has to go through that event
Yeah.
sometime. I don't know if you ever listened to. Have you ever listened to my podcast with Steve Hooker? You should listen to that one. That one's interesting. So Steve
Well,
Hooker had like, do you know who Steve Hooker is? He's
I've heard of
a
his name.
Yeah, so he was the Olympic gold medalist in, oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't remember the year. 808, I
Okay.
think. But he's from Australia. He's kind of just like an epic guy, just like legend, like complete legend. Really just, I don't know, cool dude. Um,
Mhm.
but in his podcast, I didn't realize that, and I could be getting some of this wrong. I would have to listen to it again, but I'm pretty sure that I'm correct that he slipped out and
Mhm.
he hit himself in the bad spot.
Mhm.
And then he like just kind of went into this like tailspin.
Mhm.
And I think it was 3 years that he
Yeah.
didn't get off the ground.
Wow. That's the fact that he kept jumping. That's
I
really
know.
impressive.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
I like Mike. We have issues with athletes all the time that have issues with run throughs and things
Mhm.
like that. And I always say like, dude, just listen to that podcast. He like didn't get off the ground for like 3 years and then came back and won the Olympic gold medal. You know,
That's really impressive.
and it was that it just it happens to everyone, and you
Mhm.
have to, if you want to be at that next level, like that's what usually knocks people out is stuff like that,
Mhm.
you know. But if you get through that and you get past that, then you've made it to the next level, you know.
Yeah.
And then you'll keep going, and then there'll be some other random thing that you got to work through, and just
Mhm.
part of the game, man. And
Yeah.
so props to you for working through that and
Thank you.
getting it taken care of, you know.
Yeah.
So what, like during high school, what was your guys' progression? Do you
Oh,
remember?
no,
She
I
has a
mean,
more interesting progression than I do.
well, I don't know if it's interesting. Freshman year, that was like during COVID. So I cleared it in. One of like our, not our neighbors, but people in our like area had a pole vault pit that they set up, and it was like 5 minutes away from our house. And I think there I cleared like 14.3. And
Oh,
then it didn't count as a freshman like national record because it wasn't an
Sanctioned.
meet.
yeah, but wasn't it during, you said it was during COVID?
Yeah, it was during COVID, that's why.
That's bogus.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So, and then sophomore year I cleared like 14.7. Junior year I cleared 14.10, and then senior year I cleared like 15.1. I think for me, I was freshman year 13.10, sophomore year 14.4 or 14.5, junior year 14.8 or 9, and then senior year 15.3.
That's crazy. That's pretty wild, man. So then whenever you guys go through, like what poles were you jumping on back then? Do you remember? Like what
All
like
tiers.
the Altius, but like
Oh,
what like lengths and weights?
I think at the end
14.6.
we were jumping on 14.6s, and I think probably I mean the biggest pull probably a 180
14.6, 180. Gosh
or
dang.
175, but around there. But that was like senior year, like before college.
Have you guys always kind of just generally used the same poles
Yeah,
roughly?
yeah,
So
yeah.
like do you, oh, that's actually a good question. So do you guys just, have you guys always just traveled with one series?
Not anymore because
Yeah.
she uses
I do
sticky
use sticky spray.
spray and I do not. So
Ah,
we have like a like point 0.3 pull different series. So we have like a,
But we do share pulls.
but we
still.
do share pulls still, but it's the more the merrier. So we have two different pull bags.
Yeah.
Steve Hooker was a sticky guy too when he won the gold medal. So
Yeah. I think
interesting
that
tech.
I think that's a thing.
I
Mentally.
was never a sticky guy. Actually,
Me
I tried it
neither.
one time and guess what? I slipped out and I never did it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. I'm a chalk girl. Ride or die.
Yeah. I mean, I would take that stuff and just put it all, I would have chalk all up my arm. I was
All of
obsessed
the
with chalk,
things.
but
Yeah.
never sticky. Never
Yeah.
sticky. I went to Europe and vaulted one summer and then I mean, you come back from Europe and you just kind of have all these ideas of how you're going to do things, and everyone over there was using sticky, and I was like, I'm going to do that. Yeah, because that's what they do and blah blah blah. And it just didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
But while I was over there, I saw this Russian girl that she must have been like, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. And her dad, like, glued her into the top of a 14 footer. Like, he was just, like, it was like super glued in. And she was so young. And I remember thinking to myself, she's going to kill herself if she does this.
Yeah.
And she just ran in. she got rejected and she didn't kill herself. But I was like, that's crazy. He just like it was like real adhesive. Like and I just was
Dang.
like, "Dang." Yeah, it was insane. I'll never forget that. But he was just like kind of yelling at her in Russian and just like getting her all hyped up and like glued her in and then that was it. I mean, she could not run through. It was so stuck on there. It was
Wow.
wild. Yeah. Yeah, pretty crazy. So
Mhm.
the polls, actually, that's a good point. So I did notice that you guys have switched over to Essex
Yes.
polls. So what caused that transition?
I think the main transition was, um, I mean,
Sale piece.
the sale piece on Essex polls are, um, well, so for Altius, the 14-3, I think, or maybe it was 13-9, I'm not sure. And the 14-6, it's the same poll, just like with the top cut off. So there's not like really different
Progression.
so, but
Oh, I
the
didn't know that.
progression with Essex,
Was
that's
just
that,
better.
that was my understanding. I'm not sure if it's exactly true,
Yeah.
but from my coach's opinions, the progression was better, and so we were just like, okay, we'll try it. Why not? And I think we both really liked it, and yeah.
Go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Oh, I was gonna say, I mean, Altius and Essex are both like carbon fiber based poles. So I think that transition was also easier than like going to UCS,
Yeah.
which we did try. UW has a very good selection of the spirit poles, but I think we just liked that carbon fiber better with our jump.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it must have meshed pretty well because I mean, you guys were
Yeah,
having really good success with it. How long ago was that transition?
it was freshman year,
It was last
college.
year.
Okay.
So
So it
once we
was
got
last year.
UW, yeah, that's when we
Oh,
started.
when you got to UW, that's
Yeah,
whenever you switched. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I mean we have I mean you can see behind us.
yeah,
We have invested a lot of money into Essex polls and they just are really great polls. They do a great job.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean and the people at Essex have always been really good to us and
Mhm.
you know, I mean at the end of the day it's just I want to give my vaulters what they feel most confident on that they can jump
Yeah,
the highest on. And that for
that's
us
better.
has been Essex. It's just it is what it is, you know.
Mhm.
So what went into your like how did this whole you guys going from high school and then going to college and having Tim follow you to college and having him co-coach with Toby and like
Yeah.
all of these things, how did that all come about?
Well, it was actually when I think when we were being recruited, it was Toby Stevenson's idea to bring on Tim as like a co-coach because to make the transition to college easier, um, because he has been our coach and he understands us.
Clearly something's working there.
Yeah, it's worked really well. I mean, I couldn't be happier with how kind of they work together. I think they really complement each other in coaching styles, and I haven't. Yeah, it's been pretty seamless. Like they work really well together.
Yeah.
Feel like that's just a brilliant idea because like how
Yeah.
many times do you hear like people who are really good in high school, they go to college and they just the coaching doesn't work. Like it's just like they don't click with that coach and or, you know, it takes 2 years for them to start clicking with that coach and it just like it just speeds up the process a lot if
Mhm.
you,
Yeah.
you know, literally bring your person that you've been working with the whole time, you
And
know,
I think
to
that
that.
was part of the intention. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
brilliant. It's a great idea, you know, like I've always found it interesting the whole like college recruiting process. Um because you're asking like a 17-year-old to make a decision on where they're going to spend the next 4 years of their life with a person that they've spent in person like a few hours with.
yeah.
It's so weird. Like it's
Yeah.
like you could have this perception of a college coach like like I've, there's great college coaches out there, and you could have this perception of like, if I can make it there, then me and that coach are gonna just work perfect because I've been following them for a long time. But you have no idea if that's going to work.
Yeah.
No clue at all, you know? And that, I mean, that just was a great idea. And again, props to Tim and props to Toby for collaborating and trying to
Yeah.
make it a smooth transition for you guys, you know?
Yes. Huge props.
Yeah. So what about the NCAA landscape now? Because it is so like strange compared to whenever I was in college. Can you guys kind of elaborate on what's going on?
I'm assuming you're referring to like NIL.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I don't really have an idea of what it was like before. Um, but I don't, I think it's cool because there's definitely a lot more opportunities for athletes. Um, there could definitely be a day when it could become more of a negative thing, especially with like football, because football affects everything else.
Hmm.
Um, because it's basically like becoming professional at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for sure.
but at least right now, I think it's it seems pretty positive to me. I mean, I think it's really positive for track and field athletes because, as far as professional athletics goes, track and field isn't the most lucrative sport, like compared to American football or basketball.
Right.
So I think any opportunity that, any athlete can get in the college level, which I think for most or some, it's like that's where you can really capitalize on your name, image, and likeness, and really get opportunities from this kind of new initiative. So I think it's just bringing more power to the athletes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. No,
think,
I'm not against it at all. I think it's
yeah,
great. I mean, I think it's any time that like any pole vaulter can make more money, that I'm all about that. Like
yeah,
I am totally all about that because
yeah,
it is difficult, it is very difficult. And it's a problem that, I wish that we could try to solve, in the future with, trying to help athletes, make more money. I mean, it's just so weird that like, Olympic gold medalists, like you get like 20 grand or something like
yeah.
that. And it's just like very strange. Very,
Mhm.
very strange.
And
But all the stuff that you guys do, like you guys have an opportunity to lay some of the groundwork during college that it might not have to be like that anymore, you know?
Mhm.
Because then you can be like, hey, look it, I've got this, whatever. I don't even know what it is. So I might sound like an idiot. Like I've got this following and I'm getting paid this much by these different entities. And I've grown my brand over the last 4 years. And then now I'm going to, pursue this professionally. What can you guys do for me now?
Mhm.
And you can actually start that process now, your freshman year, instead of waiting all the way until 4 years is done. And then you got to try that process later, you know?
Yeah.
Is that
No, yeah.
wrong? Am I like
No,
way
I'm
off?
I'm not an expert and I don't have a lot of experience with
But
like the
that
specifically
sounds-
social media.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's just in my head what I was thinking. So,
Yeah.
so what poles and grips are you guys on right now?
Reno, my biggest pull was a 14.7, 15.3 flex number.
Hmm.
And I was gripping probably like 14.4. Like I was like 4 inches down, 3 inches down. Pretty
Gotcha.
much the exact same, except I was on the 16 too. So she gets on a little bigger pulse than me.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So what are your big like when you're at the end of the runway and you're at Reno and pressure's on, maybe it's that third attempt. What are three of like the biggest things that you think of? Like what are your go-to cues?
Probably big plant is number one. And then I would say good takeoff, big plant, and then just kind of don't
Make the
like
bar.
like actually turn. But I honestly think the biggest thing that, especially at Reno, I kind of had to remind myself was to not freak out and just like focus on my cues because I think, I hadn't competed in over 6 months and I was really excited. I was like, this is like my first meet back. I'm super excited. And I think I was just getting too in my head. And then I stepped back and I was like, whoa, let's just focus on actually competing, not like what could happen, and just focus on my cues and not, yeah, just focus on my jump and not the bar. And I
Right.
think that was the really biggest thing I needed to remind myself because it is so easy to get caught up in the potential outcomes or what you could jump. And then you just miss your opportunity to actually focus on something important that will make your jump better.
It's so hard. It's just like so hard to be that disciplined, you know,
Yeah, it's really, yeah.
especially in the moment, like when you're running and everyone's clapping and it's just like, oh my gosh. I remember just like trying to be like, dude, all you have to do is just execute these few things and it'll be fine. And it's so hard to just stay disciplined on just like one or two things, you know. It's
Mhm.
really, really tough. Amanda,
Yeah.
what about you?
Um, for me, I think as I'm like on the runway, I kind of just take some breaths to center myself. I think that's one of my, it's not a cue, but that's one of the things I do. It's really important. And then I kind of sometimes will say to myself, like, I can do this or something. Um, it's like a little confidence boost. And then I only have really two cues. Just starting like big and relaxed. So like my first few steps. Because that really helps me build my run well.
Mhm.
And then bringing energy into the plant are my two.
When you say bringing energy into the plant, what do you mean by that?
I mean, on my last step, um, kind of driving and it's hard to explain. I have it in my head, like the image of me doing it.
I'm
But
drilling down hard.
I
Sorry.
know, right? Um, yeah, I think just bringing the energy through the last step into the plant instead of like, because sometimes I'll like put my foot out and I'll like stop myself, but instead just like
Mm.
letting it go back and then bringing all that energy into the plant instead of like stopping myself.
I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Basically, like maintaining as close to 100% of your speed through your last couple strides. Is
Yeah.
that so? There was a really cool. There's a fan of the podcast, and I can't believe I can't remember his name. He's such an awesome dude, and he sends over statistics from some of the big meets in Europe. And it's one of my favorite things to look at is just these charts that he sends over of, like at the Mondo Classic, like there was a chart of like all these vaulters, and they have like a laser. I'm pretty sure they have like a laser that goes in the back of the person, and then
Wow.
it measures every single step of the run, which is
Mhm.
so cool and such valuable information. So what that chart looks like is at the beginning you're at 0, meters per second, and then you slowly start to go up meters per second, up until you get to your takeoff, and
Mhm.
then everyone, boom, dives down a little bit
Yeah.
at the end. And sometimes it's a half meter per second, sometimes it's a full meter per second, but there is one person that doesn't. Do you
I
know who
wonder
that
who.
person is?
Demondo?
It's so cool. It's so cool to see that though. One person doesn't lose any speed. I mean, that's on the average. I'm sure every once in a while he does. But there's some times where he's still gaining speed in that last step, which
Yeah.
is so hard to do, like it's like what you're talking about, like maintaining as much of that energy and speed into that takeoff. And it's just very ironic that the one person that doesn't lose any speed is the one who is, light years above everyone else.
Yeah.
Um, And I use that example all the time with my athletes. It's like, okay, your goal is like if it's 100% speed, like your goal is to try to stay as close to that 100% as you can over your last few strides. And it's
Yeah.
just it's fascinating. And I apologize for that person who sends that data over that I am blanking on the name right now. But anyway, so do you guys work with Toby much,
Yeah.
or is it mainly Tim, or
No,
how does that
it's
work?
it's like both of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Um, yeah. Because I think both of them have really valuable perspectives, and it's really after every jump they'll both like talk about it. And so
Wow.
it's not like one, like I think it's kind of nice. I mean, I'm just assuming, but they can have someone to actually talk to about it instead of just like thinking about it in their head.
Yeah,
It's just one of them. Um, and so it's both of them. Yeah, and
that's
I think
wild.
that translates to the rest of our vault group. I think they both collaborate with each jumper individually, and I think they each can bring something different to each of our jumpers. Yeah. Well, and then Toby does all of the like speed and stuff. He'll or
Oh,
like
okay.
yeah,
Like the speed and
the
strength
training
training and
plan.
stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what
we
are
have a
like
strength coach, but yeah, for speed. Mhm.
would you mind sharing some of like kind of your favorite things that you would think over the past have been like some of your most influential training techniques? Like,
Mhm.
for me, I always had to have power cleans in my program. Like that was one
Oh
thing that
yeah.
it just made me very confident. Do you
Yeah.
have any exercises like that that are your go-tos?
I don't know. I think just like speed stuff. Like we do some overspeed, and I really like that because it will helps my what's the word? Neuromuscular system. Yeah.
Your turnover and
Yeah, it just really
yeah.
helps fire my muscles and calibrate my mind to like how fast I want to be running.
Yeah. So how do you execute that? Do you have like downhill or like
No,
bungees or
there's
a
like a there's
treadmill?
a bungee.
Bungee. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fun one. Yeah, it's like you're like tricking your nervous system
Mhm.
into getting faster almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's really, really cool.
And I think the other thing is probably getting into the weight room. We didn't really dabble with lifting very much in high school, as much as compared to now. My favorite lift is probably hang snatches. I can't really do cleans. I haven't really been very adventurous with my cleans since college because I just can't, my wrist doesn't bend that way. And
Right.
it's painful for me. So I really enjoy snatches.
Why do you think that is? What happened
I
to your wrist?
honestly can't do it. Don't know. Maybe it's like the way how long my forearm is compared to my bicep. It just doesn't move. Maybe my forearm's too long compared to my bicep. I honestly couldn't
So you
tell
just
you.
can't like rack it. Like you
Yeah, I
can't like
can't.
rack like
Yeah,
that. Okay. Wow, yeah, that's a very important part of it. So
yeah,
so if you can't do that, it's tough.
yeah.
No, it's interesting though. So hang snatches
Mhm.
is kind of your thing.
Yeah, I really
That's
liked it.
awesome.
A fun little side note that I think it's not like vital to our training. And it's more of like a fun activity, but we really like rock climbing, especially not so much during season because obviously like injury, it's not time to do it. But especially during off season, we will go climbing a lot, and I think it's really helped with like upper body strength, and it's nice to like do. It's a kind of like a mental
Fun.
break. Yeah,
It's
to
really
like
fun.
Yeah.
not doing pole vault 100% of the time.
I was gonna ask you guys about climbing. So do you guys climb in a gym or do you go out in the mountains or
We've done more of the gym just because it's easier.
Yeah.
There's not actually too much like really good climbing near Seattle. You have to drive like an hour
hours.
or 2+ hours for like bouldering, which we enjoy bouldering.
Yeah.
I haven't quite
Last
spent
year.
enough time learning about like the technical aspect of rope climbing, which I do really enjoy. And we had two teammates, Jake Inglar and Max Manson, who are very knowledgeable, especially Max, in climbing, and they took us
Very
on kind of a
knowledgeable.
a weekend climbing trip, and it was really, really fun.
I
And
bet.
I'd love to get more into it, probably more after I'm done with pole vault. But yeah,
I talked with Max's dad a lot, and Max's dad has told me that I've always wanted to climb Long's Peak, which is uh, one of the highest point in Rocky Mountain National Park. I always go out to Colorado all the time, and he's assured me that Max can get me to the top.
oh, for
So
sure.
yeah, I'm sure he can do it
I'm pretty
backwards.
sure he did a back-to-back summit of the Matterhorn um, in in a weekend. So I think
No, in like 2 days.
in 2 days.
Oh my gosh, Max,
So
man. Yeah, and he just completely just raw, no training jumped at Reno too.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
was like, what? And I think he made 520 too, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, so rock climbing, so you like bouldering more than rope climbing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it translates better to pole vaulting. Honestly, it's more of a power based compared to I think endurance is more correlated with sport climbing.
Mm.
So, and I also really enjoy the kind of dynamic movements that bouldering brings. Yeah, but yeah.
And there's the problem solving aspect of it too,
Oh,
like
I
just
love
kind of
that.
sitting back and just looking at it for a long time, and that's fun to mess around with too. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's awesome. We have a couple cool gyms in our area. We're in Chicago, so not a lot of climbing there unless you want to climb a building, and don't recommend that. But
Yeah. Might
yeah.
get it.
So where do you guys kind of see everything going in the future?
Well, I think it'd be really cool to go pro after college, and then kind of we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like that's I mean, but I just was curious because some people some people want to do it and they want to really go for it, and some people just kind of just want to do other stuff,
No,
So I
I
was just
definitely want to
curious.
go pro. Yeah, I mean, I love pole vault, and I think it's, I just want to see how high I can go.
Yeah, and I mean, there's, not a better two people to kind of do that and pursue that. But you guys have some pretty good, there's some good competition in
So
NCAA.
excited for indoors. It's gonna be so fun.
It's
There's
so,
already two other girls to clear 15. It's gonna
yeah,
be so fun.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't remember, her name is slipping my mind, but she goes to U of I, which is
Tori Thomas.
Tori Thomas. Gosh, sorry, Tori. Her dad was a coach at Augustana College, which my we competed against all the time. But yeah, I saw her jump the other day. Looked really really good. And
Mhm.
she's looking real solid. And you guys look solid. Who's the other person? Sorry, I
Julia,
can't follow all this. You guys are jumping
okay.
15 way too much.
Julia Fixon
Julia
from
Julia's back, and she jumped 15.
58.
Yes.
Yeah.
No way. That's awesome. I'm glad for her. She's been on the podcast too. She had that back situation
Mhm.
and then had to take like a year off or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for her. Yeah, that'll be fun. So you guys really want to go for it. So you have 3 more years. Do you I mean, you talk about this if you want, but do you like plan on continuing to compete in college, or do you maybe see
Yeah.
yourself
We're
leaving
I think
earlier? Or?
I mean, as of
I
right
don't
now,
see
we're gonna
myself like going pro earlier than after I graduate. I think I personally really enjoy being a part of a team, and I want to kind of experience that. And it's also like there's so much support.
Yeah.
It's like why would I stop that early, you know?
I did a podcast with, I think it was Sandre, and he
Yes.
said, he was like, dude, like the American college system, like that is the best. That's like the best professional like situation there is. Like you have
yeah.
everything. Everything's right there. You got polls, you got travel, you got uh, you know, medical, you have your food right there, your housing right there, your training right there. Everything is just right there and taken care of for you. So it's like it's a really good situation. And plus, you guys can make money now too. Like it, like you could probably negotiate some sort of deals, over the next few years. I don't even know. Maybe do you guys already have support like
Well,
that or
we do have an NIL deal with Essex. So
sick? Good for you guys. Congrats on that. That's what's up. Yeah. It's a good company to be a part of. Um, yeah, so is there anything else that you guys kind of wanted to talk about? Or actually, one more thing. How do you guys balance, because you guys are pretty young, so how are you guys balancing this? Um, you know, you've had a lot of success and you're really high pole vaulters and there's a good amount of pressure. How are you balancing that with just like being a person that's in college and enjoying their life?
Yeah. Well, I think first is prioritizing being a person. I feel like we I feel like my dad really helps us with this, but he helps us like identify kind of passions we have outside of the sport, and we kind of created this journal. It's kind of like a life journal, and it helps us kind of identify, it's like, what did I do today? So like for me, one of my priorities is like connecting with people or doing schoolwork, or like doing art. So like I feel like that is like a daily reminder to kind of do stuff outside of it. But also I think something that really helps is, we really, we live together. It's just us in a house. So it's, we kind of really don't talk about pole vault or track really outside of practice. So we kind of keep that space there. And when we want like to, yeah, when we want to, we will talk about pole vault. But it's just not really something that we really, we don't really sit around on the floor with like a candle and talk about what we did that day in pole vault. So it's like,
Right.
we like to play cards. We've been really like, I think 4 days ago, we started playing gin rummy for the first time, and now we do it every night.
For real. That's pretty cool. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever gone through periods like that though, where you feel like you are becoming a little too obsessed with
Um,
with
I mean,
vaulting?
I think, there's moments, but I feel like that's with everything. And I
Mm.
think I just try to surround myself with, all my people, especially her, because I'm with her all the time. And I think that helps just like ground me. Um, and as far as the expectation stuff, I think I work actively on like trying to just let that go.
Hmm.
And really just focus on my like mastery of vault instead of like other people's opinion. Yeah. 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 And I think it also helps to have another person with you, because like when it's just you and you're getting all this success and you're getting all this attention, and then you suddenly have a bad meet, and then you're in your head and you're like, my gosh, these people think I've let them down. I feel like that can be really hard to deal with, but having like another person's like, I just had a really bad meet, but she had a really good meet. And I feel like our perceptions or people's perceptions of us is very like intertwined. So when they see that one of us had a good meet, I feel like it kind of takes the pressure off the other person.
Mm.
And I feel like that really helps just kind of keep a positive overall mental environment. Yeah. Because we kind of really support each other and work together. So it's like my success is her success. So then there's never really a negative, like, oh, I'm a really bad jumper because I know how I did at a meet.
Hmm.
It's like more just like, I'm going to move on. She did really well. So like I'm now motivated to jump higher. And it's like you're just focusing on each other's successes versus each other's failures. Yourself. Yeah.
You guys are just like grabbing each other and pulling each other along. Like it's
Yeah,
just like,
exactly.
hey, like, all right, you did bad. All right, let's go. Let's go. We got to move.
Yeah.
Like, all right, you did bad. All right, come on.
Yeah.
We still got to keep moving. We got to keep it
And
keep it rolling.
yeah, and there's still individual like work, yes, that needs to go into it, but
overall, I would say we, yeah, pull each other on.
Yeah.
Pull each other up instead of drag each other down.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, you guys are doing an incredible job of that. And yeah, that what you just said, kind of that little section right there is just super mature. Like that's like there's a lot of professional pole vaulters out there that don't have a perspective like that and aren't able to disconnect like that. I think that probably is one of the main things that will drag a pole vaulter down is the inability to disconnect, the
Mhm.
inability to leave it at the gym, the inability to, you know, not get super riled up whenever they see other people or their competitors having success. Like those sorts of things, like if you can keep control over those things, like you'll go really really far. But that's like the trap. It's like it's what we always talk about is like the comparison trap, you know, like if you're just constantly comparing yourself to other people and things like that, man, that will wreck you. And if you think about it, like think about if you like you said that you guys don't like really sit around with the candle. That was your words. With the candle and talk about pole vaulting with each other. Think about
Mhm.
if you did. Like that means that you like you wake up, you're probably talking with each other about pole vaulting and that's in your head and you're kind of working a little bit and then you go and you do your stuff and you're thinking about pole vaulting, doing more work. And then you go to your workout and you're already a little bit tired because you've already done a lot of work in your head thinking about pole vaulting. And then you do your workout and then you get home and you talk about it more. And then you're still working and then you wake up and you do it all over again. And it's
Mhm.
just like that could get super, super exhausting. And if you want to
Mhm.
go the long haul like you guys want to do, I mean, that you guys have got a really, really good perspective and outlook on, you know, being able to be successful and do that, in my opinion. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you guys wanted to kind of talk about or shout out or, you know, anything like that?
I don't know. I guess kind of a cool story. Did you share about like mom's experience? Oh, kind of a cool story. So my mom actually wanted to pole vault in high school, and she did track and she did gymnastics, and she was like, "Oh, this pole vault thing sounds really fun." And it was when women weren't really allowed to pole vault, but I think they were kind of starting to.
When
Um,
when when was this?
I
I don't
think
want to
uh,
blow up your mom's age here, but
1980 something, the middle
okay.
80s or upper 80s, I would say.
yeah,
Gotcha, gotcha,
It was like
gotcha.
just 1986, I guess.
yeah. And the coach is basically like, no, girls aren't strong enough. Um, and so I think it's kind of cool that now Hannah and I are
That's
doing
really
it
cool. Yeah.
and jumping very
We did I did a podcast with Stacy Dragila. Have you ever talked with Stacy
Yeah,
at
we
all?
did two camps with them or with her over the summer, in like sophomore year, I would say.
Yeah. What an incredible person and just like just a really strong woman and great
Mhm.
female role model.
Yes.
I'm gonna if my kids vault, I'm gonna send them out to her camp one time.
Super
Um,
fun.
yeah, and I was talking with her, and she was like, "Yeah, they wouldn't let girls pole vault because they thought it was going to damage their reproductive organs."
Yes.
Like, what?
yeah,
How crazy is that?
yeah.
That is like 25 years ago.
That's
That's
crazy.
it.
Hmm.
That's it. I was that blows my mind.
Like I would understand maybe if they had that thought process in maybe the 1800s,
I know, right?
but
The
19 is
early
a little
1800s.
bit late for that. It's a
It's
little
so
too late.
bad. And you guys are all just crushing it now. We were talking about this. I forget who we were talking. It was like me and my brother Luke and maybe a couple other guys here at Rise. We were talking about like the progression of no, Sam Spencer. She's a coach at Rise. And we were talking about like how, you know, it took a really long time for, you know, this, you know, male pole vaulting to kind of progress and get where it's at. You know, it started with the bamboo and then steel and then fiberglass and blah blah blah. And it took all these iterations of learning how to pole vault and things like that. And then, but the girls like, and it's gotten really good with the males, you know, but I really don't think we've seen really much of anything for what girls like women's pole vaulting is going to be able to eventually do because it's so young.
Yeah.
Like it is so young.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen anything yet. I mean, think about this. I don't know if you guys are old enough to really understand this, but like when I was in high school, dude, if you jumped 12 feet as a girl, I mean, you're going to probably win state. Like you were going to come close to winning state, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that 12 feet's a bad jump now, but like you're not going to win state, you know, like you're going to have to jump probably close to 14 feet, you know? And it's just so crazy how quickly that happened. You know, and I just think it's going to be crazy. And it could be you two that are really pushing that barrier. That's a good question. What do you what do you think is kind of possible? What do you think is possible for maybe you two or just kind of women's pole vaulting in general? Sorry, I know that's a tough one.
Yeah, no, I would like to see a woman jump 17 feet.
I think that's
whether that
no
be
problem.
here or somewhere else, but I don't think that we should really limit ourselves in how high we can jump because I feel like it is possible.
Oh yeah. 17 feet. I mean, I personally think that's going down.
Yeah.
In the next, how old are you guys?
19. Oh, 2020 tomorrow, actually.
Yes, tomorrow's our birthday.
Hey, happy birthday. I won't embarrass you and sing you guys happy birthday on the podcast.
It's okay.
That's awesome. What are you guys doing?
We're competing.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Where at?
Oh, it's a home meet.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, you guys got a nice little raised runway. It's pretty fast.
Yeah, it is fast.
Yeah.
I really like it.
That's awesome. Well, anything else? Can you guys share like where people could follow you guys or, you know,
I just
follow
have
along with your progress?
Instagram. Yeah,
Okay.
my only social media I use is Instagram.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
I was like,
awesome.
or LinkedIn, but not really LinkedIn.
Nah, probably
That's
not.
the only social media I have.
Last question. Did you guys get bombarded at Reno? Kind of. Did you like, was it surprising how many people were like fans of you guys and wanted to talk? And
because I think it was definitely a surprise the first time we were like in the elite section. We were like, it was senior year of high school. That was crazy. I was like, what? Like, you want me to sign what?
But I definitely
Right.
feel like more so this year. I mean, I went last year and I was alone, and I mean, yeah, I did get, I feel like, attention, but I feel like this year we came together, and I feel like that was really like what kind of, and I think also
and you jump so well too.
after our performance at
Yeah.
Reno, I think that was what really,
Yeah. I think the whole like it's still new to me, and it's really cool and kind of humbling to see how many people are like wanting pictures, and that it's just so cool, and it makes me feel really connected to the sport.
It's really awesome, but they don't do that for nothing. You know, you guys worked really, really hard for that, and if you do cool stuff, people like it, and people wanna talk to you and be a part of it. So it's pretty awesome. But yeah, so everyone follow them on Instagram and keep up with their progress. You guys, I really, really appreciate you guys coming on here. I know you guys are busy with college, and you guys literally have a meet tomorrow.
we just finished all of our school yesterday, so we're actually like chilling for the rest of the weekend.
Well, really, it's time to get the cards out then.
Yes, that's right.
Time to get the gin rummy going.
Most definitely.
Well, thank you guys so much. And this is the One More Jump podcast, and we'll see you guys later.